Hello guys, this is a review of the movies Split and Glass. We're going to start in chronological order, so let's start with Split. Both of the movies were written and directed by M. Shyamalan, whose work I really admire. This movie stars James McAvoy, and another one of the leads is Anya Taylor-Joy, who plays Casey. This movie starts with a group of girls from school having a get-together, and there's an outcast, Casey. It's briefly mentioned how she doesn't fit in. I guess they invited her out of pity, just to kind of involve her, or have her involved in social activities. I don't really know, but the point is that her uncle is unable to pick her up, so the dad of the girl that was hosting the get-together of the party offers to take her home. They go over to the car and the girls get inside. Casey takes the passenger seat and the two other girls take the back seat, while their dad is putting some stuff away in the trunk of the car. He gets knocked out. I don't know if they use a spray or not. And they realize that this guy just opens the door, sits, and it's not their dad. It's this complete stranger that knocked out the dad. He doesn't say a word. He sprays him. They're out. And Casey tries to run away, but the car makes that sound, when you open the door, beep, beep, beep. So she also gets sprayed. He kidnaps them. And they awake logically very confused. They don't know what's going on. They don't know where they are or why they were taken. The other two girls, I wouldn't call them dumb, but they have lived, according to the movie, privileged lives. So they have a very straightforward approach to things. They don't double think. They don't know how to really analyze, or I think that they don't know the severity of the situation or the correct way to go about what they're going through, basically. Casey, on the other hand, and we see this is spread throughout the movie. They don't give it to you in just one shot, but as things in present day happen, they give us flashbacks of when she was a little girl and she was, we could say, if not molested, raped by her uncle. And then her dad suffered, I think, a heart attack, and she was left with him at the care of her abuser. So she has that in her. Keep that in mind. She has this sense of survival, and her dad used to talk to her a lot about hunting, so there's a lot of things that kind of go together. Anyway, back in present day, they realize that their kidnapper, who's played by James McAvoy, his name is Kevin, but he has 20-something personalities, right? And one of them is this cute little kid named Hedwig, who says etc. all the time. It is so funny. But he also has Patricia, who's this woman who's always standing like this, and he's always like, would you like to have dinner? And there's another one, there's Kevin, I don't know, there's a lot, but the main problem, the girl's main worry, is the beast. They keep talking about, the personalities keep talking about the beast. The beast is gonna come. The beast feasts on the wah 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 and is the leader, the voice for the broken. They don't know what's going on because we don't get to see the beast until the very end. And I guess I should probably stop because they do have two movies. So they try to escape, but fail miserably. They don't get beat up for it, but they just kind of get segregated. This guy is going to see a psychologist who believes that people with multiple personality disorder, which I believe is not the correct term to use anymore, but we're just going to do it for the sake of the movie and because it's easier. But keep in mind that it might not be accurate. She's treating him, right? And while she believes 100% what he's saying, because she claims that there are patients with diabetes that need the shot and other people don't, some people that are blind so they can't see, but then they develop personalities that can't see, so then their eyes regenerate. I don't know, but basically she believes in that supernatural, I wouldn't say supernatural, but that hidden human ability that these personalities claim to bring to the light. And I should mention that they call it the light. Having the light means that you have the personality, at least in his particular case. She thinks that no harm is going to happen. Something that triggered this kid, because he was not kid, this guy, he was doing well. He was, even the psychologist mentions in the beginning, you're one of my most well-adjusted patients, and I'm very proud of you, because he's not working at a zoo and he hasn't had any issues up until a point where some teenage girls were over there in a field trip, and they made Kevin touch their breasts, I think something like that, which triggered all the abuse that he suffered. He's this way as a defense mechanism and coping mechanism for what his mother did to him. And that, I don't know if I mentioned in the other review, I bit my lip last night, so I can't really talk right. I don't want to bite it again, so I'm sorry for that if I keep stuttering, and I stutter naturally, so there you go. Anyway, yeah, we don't know if she sexually abused him, but she did yell at him, and we could say maybe physical punishment. We don't see much of that, but it's implied. And he developed this personality, these multiple personalities, to defend himself against people like that. So when the girls did that at the zoo, even though he had been going to treatment and doing very well, like, it just kind of triggered him. But the psychologist did not know to what extent until she went and visited him, because one of the other personalities, the nice ones, started emailing her, like, we need help, we need help, we need help. So she goes over and she realizes that he has kidnapped the girls, and he kills her. Thanks her for believing in him, and then kills her. And he then, the beast comes back and kills the girls, except for Casey, because when he's before he kills her, he's climbing walls, right? Like a monster. He's super buff, super huge, super bad. He bends steel. But when he sees that Casey has a bunch of markings of possibly self-harm, if not other type of abuse, he realizes that she's more broken than he thought, so he spares her life. He's like, rejoice, for you are the broken of the man, something like that. And that's how the movie ends. She, it is also implied, a lot of this movie, it's things that are implied. It's implied that she tells the cops what happened, and she, later on, we're gonna find out when we get to the other one what happens to her. The last we see is this guy in a diner, and the people are talking, oh my gosh, it reminds me a lot of that. They're watching what happened in the news, the assassinations and everything. They're like, it reminds me a lot of this guy. What was his name? And Bruce Willis' character is like, Mr. Glass. And now we have this one. So this one's James McAvoy, Bruce Willis, and Samuel Jackson. This is Mr. Glass. This is obviously the Beast, or also known as Kevin Wendell Crumb. And this is David, the guy in the poncho, as they call him. This movie now brings us the Beast. Yes, he's kidnapped other girls. That's how the movie starts. And we see that this is a sequel, even though it wasn't, as far as I know, promoted as a sequel. No, this is a sequel to another movie. Gosh, what was the name of that movie? I forgot, but it was with Bruce Willis. And basically, well, first let me finish the plot, right? Yeah, so we're on the same page. At this point, Casey told on her abusers, and now she's in a, we could say, foster home, where she's being taken care of. And these guys, these two right here, since David is like a vigilante, and he's out there like doing the superhero thing, he wants to catch the beast so that he doesn't do more harm to other innocent girls. So they get into a very big fight, and the cops surround them, and a psychologist played by Sarah, what's her last name? Sarah Paulson, right? I don't want to make a mistake because that's very important. Oh, and I've also been referring to her as Anya Joy Taylor. It's Anya Taylor-Joy. My bad. She's... You know what? Okay, let me finish the plot so I could get... Anyway, Sarah Paulson, I think, is a psychologist. That's the actress that plays the psychologist, right? She tells the guy, like... She tells David, you know what, give up. You probably could escape, but you'll be hurting a lot of people. So they take him in confinement, and there's 0.1 possibility of them being able to escape because they're so guarded that their fears are used against them. For example, David is afraid of water, so there's water there. If he tries to escape, water will come pouring down at the gallons. In the gallons, I should say. The beast has like flashes, these hypnotic flashes that trigger a different character each time if he tries to escape. And Mr. Glass is heavily sedated, and his superpower is being smart. They believe that they are very, very, very superhuman, and the others believe that they're not, with the exception of course, Casey or Mr. Glass's mom, or David's son, who also helps him in all the shenanigans. Let me finish this because this is going to be very, very long. This super long. The whole point of this movie is trying to prove, the psychologist tries to prove to them that they are not superheroes, while Mr. Glass is not taking his medication and planning this evil scheme where he wants, as in comic books, to have the main villain fight the main superhero in the ultimate showdown in front of everybody. That doesn't get to happen. They fight like outside of the hospital, but it is being recorded, and then the whole world gets to see that they actually do have superpowers. I'm summarizing it in a very like simple, dumb way, but it's a pretty smart, well thought out film. Anya Taylor-Joy is her name. She's actually Argentinian, Spanish. She has, you know, she's Latina, and I didn't know, and I'm so proud for her. She's doing huge. I think that show's called on Netflix The Queen's Gambit. I don't know, but she's really, really, really gaining superstardom, and very well deserved. Like, I wouldn't have thought. She has no accent. She does have an accent, but it's a very, very light, and I think she uses it whenever she wants to. And in Spanish, I've heard her speak, and she's also fluent in Spanish as well. She's amazing. She did an amazing job in this movie. I'm also going to review another movie of hers. James McAvoy with the characters. Man, it's amazing. I feel like this movie could have used more action. I like it a lot, but it's not the type of movie that you could watch once and then the next day and then the next day, because like you know what I'm saying? It's good, but I feel like to spice it up, it could have had more action, because that's kind of the main theme of this. This is more superhero than this one ever was. This one, if you don't know anything about it and you watch it for the first time, it's a thriller. And then I remember talking to my sister, and she was complaining about the fact that this movie would or could have been great if it weren't for the supernatural elements thrown at the end, where the beast is climbing walls and everything. But I beg to differ. That's what's like, this movie was like, with M. Night Shyamalan's movies, they always take you in different directions. You know that, like the Sixth Sense type of twist in the middle. Also, in this movie, the psychologist proves that his rock climbing skills are just rock climbing skills, and he bent the steel because they were old, and he got shot with I think a rifle, but it was also very old and rusty. So it explains. There's a scientific explanation to their superpowers, but as Mr. Glass also mentions, just because there's an explanation doesn't mean that it isn't amazing, you know. I would give this movie a rating of 9.5 out of 10. In this movie, I would give it a rating of 8 out of 10. Both are very, very, very good movies. Their acting is obviously going to be good. Look at them. James McAvoy, though, he really surprised me, as well as Anya Taylor-Joy, whose name I mispronounced earlier. I'm very sorry. Yeah. I'm sure there's a lot to say. Like, if you haven't watched these, you should have watched my review first, because I spoiled everything. But they are very, very, very good films, and I do look forward to watching the first installment. And I cannot remember the name, etc. As Hedwig would say. That's it for these. Thank you for watching.